Hello, South Park. Hey, Anderson coming at you. Moms and dads, how's everybody doing? Hey, I'm making this video because we have a huge test coming up on Monday, and I wanted to make sure that everybody has their notes ready to go. Their notes should be ready to go right here. Now, moms and dads, if you have a situation where your son or daughter does not have their notes, that's quite okay. If you go to my Canvas page, you're going to be able to find all my notes right there. Not only are there my notes, but there's also notes with pictures embedded on the test. The very first thing that we're going to do right now is the test is currently being typed up right now. I'm going to go ahead and read you off some questions that you should know the answers for the test. You understand? I'm going to read the questions off a couple times so you can go ahead and write them down. The very first thing that everybody should know, is planet Earth has how many different categories or how many different spheres that we have learned about? How many? Now, I'm not going to tell you the answers because the answers are embedded in all your notes, but how many different spheres does planet Earth have? That's the very first one. Hopefully, everyone's done with Thanksgiving and they're getting ready for the Christmas holiday coming up here. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah, and the Anderson family wishes you the best of times in the next couple days and weeks. All right, another thing that you should know about: when a certain area does not receive any type of precipitation, what do we call that? What do we call that? When a certain area does not receive precipitation, what do we call that? So if you go to my Canvas page, scroll down, final notes before the test, they're right here, moms and dads, everybody, your grandmas, who's ever helped studying. They're right here, and it always takes a couple seconds here. And there are all the notes the day I leave my mouse at home. You go up here, there's all the notes. I think there's 37 pages of notes. Now, it seems a lot more than what it is. On my computer, I use a very large font, and also I embedded pictures. And whenever you embed the pictures, it eats up a lot of space. So don't think that there's actually 37 pages of notes. It's probably more like 16, 17 if you would size it out appropriately. All right, the next thing that you need to know: what do you call the people who study the relationships in the environment? What do you call the people, men and women, who study the relationships in the environment? Now, I'm not going to give you the answers, but all the answers are embedded in the notes. So if you just follow these questions, you will definitely be successful on the test. Now, this is going to be a large test, uh, but everyone, moms and dads, everyone has been drilled and grilled over them. They should know everything that's on this test coming up. All right. Next question you should know about. Um, any water that is found below the surface is called what? Any water found below the surface is called what? Now, on my page for the notes, there's a big question that you're going to see. You're going to have to know the water cycle. What's going to happen, moms and dads? I'm going to give you a blank map of the water cycle. We actually did this in class where they're actually hanging up in the hallways where they have a blank map of the water cycle and they have to label it. Now, in class, we did some coloring. We made it look a little pretty there. On this test, they're going to have the different areas from where they start to where they're going, how it starts, how it begins. You're going to have to name the different parts of the water cycle. So make sure you study this poster or this page on your notes on page 4. Also, it's throughout the throughout your notes here. All right. For instance, right here, liquid water also exists below the surface of the ground, and it's called groundwater. So those answers are embedded throughout your notes and throughout your study guide there. All right. Next question that everyone should know: the sun gives warmth through planet Earth. The majority of the heat from the sun is absorbed or taken in by what? The majority of the heat from the sun is taken in by what? Now, of course, these answers aren't going to be in the order that I'm asking you right now. They're going to be um, in a different order, but just make sure that you study everything. All right, next thing that you should know. Any large storm in the ocean is called what? A large ocean storm is called what? There's actually two names for them. Not the one that hits the Pacific, which are called typhoons. The ones that hit the United States, what are they called? What are they called? Large storms that hit the United States are called what? Now, we also talked about in the year 2005, when the fifth graders weren't even born yet in 2005. There was a massive storm that hit what Louisiana city, one of my favorite places to go. The food there is awesome. The times there are awesome. I like to go there at least once or twice every year. What large Louisiana city, was hit by one of these storms in the year 2005? Moms and dads, I'm sure you remember it, and it cost I believe, over $20 billion worth of damage, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 people were killed. The kids and I talked about this for a couple days there. All right. Next question that everyone should know. Name any type of water that falls from the sky. Any type of water that falls from the sky. There's 4 different types of water. Make sure that you name them. Make sure that you know them. The 4 types of water that fall from the sky. How about this? I got double glasses. How about that? Four types of water that fall from the sky. And what do you call any type of water that falls from the sky? I know there's 4 types, but what do you call any type of water that falls from the sky? So those questions kind of go hand in hand with each other. Now, moms and dads, if you look through my notes, you'll see the pictures, even with your sons and daughters. Something new that we did is we started to embed pictures into it. There's a beautiful beach scene right there. That's where myself and Beyonce go. What, everybody? Me and Beyonce go right here, everybody. So I'm sitting here with my 7th period. They're writing down the questions as I'm making a video here. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, next thing. Any man or woman that studies the geosphere. Any man or woman that studies the geosphere is called any man or woman that studies the geosphere. This picture right here looks like Edinburgh, PA, earlier this week. Next question that everyone should know. Please tell me the 3 states of matter. Here's a hint. 3 states of matter. Here's a hint. All right, next thing we're going to talk about are some prefixes. The prefix hydro means what? The prefix hydro means what? Once again, I'm trying to help everybody out right here. The prefix hydro means what? Is there someone at the door? Oh, let them in, let them in. I'm making a updated study video, so come on in.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here killing two birds with one stone. We're live, so don't, Miss Angelos. This is like a live studio audience right now. Miss Angelo, everybody, our fifth grade counselor. She's doing a great job. All right, the prefix bio. What does the prefix bio stand for? The prefix bio. You want to say anything to the kid? You're already on. They already know. Tell them to study. Say, hey, there's a test.
Study hard, guys.
Tell them there's a science test Monday and Tuesday.
Science test Monday, Tuesday. You'll do
Study.
great.
All right, next one, the prefix geo. What does the prefix geo stand for? And lastly, the prefix atmos. What does that stand for? The prefix atmos, what does that stand for? Moving right along. Next question. How are clouds formed? How are clouds formed? How are clouds formed? How are clouds formed? We're sitting pretty. Okay, next thing that everyone should know or have some type of an idea about. Let me see if I can find it. The ocean, it's what influences the weather. The oceans influence the atmosphere, the weather. So even though I gave you that question right there, here's a big hint. The ocean has a powerful influence on the weather. All right. There are two main ocean currents that affect the weather in the United States. There are two main ocean currents that affect the weather in the United States. What are they? What are the two main currents ocean currents, I should say, that affect the weather in the United States? Now, those two ocean currents, and we've talked about them, moms and dads, and one that you hear on the weather all the time. You will hear about the jet stream current, which is a atmospheric current, but then you also hear of the Gulf Stream current, which is a water-based or a hydro-based current. Which one of these two affects the weather in our lovely city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Which one affects the current or the weather in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Look at that pretty picture right there. Here I am going up the incline. There's downtown. Right here, everybody, that's my house right here. It's worth a shot. That's PPG. So what of the two currents, either the Gulf Stream or the California, which current affects the weather here in our hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? All right. Next one is this will be an essay question. Please explain, write this down, everybody. Please explain acid rain and how it affects the world. Please explain acid rain and how it affects the world. Please explain acid rain and how it affects the world. All right, next question you should know, and I'm just bouncing all around. The center of a hurricane, which is right here, is called the what, everybody? Don't say it out loud. The center of a hurricane, which is embedded in my notes right here, is called the what? You know what? I like it with the pictures in them. Okay, mom and dad, we watched a couple videos and we saw how destructive during a large ocean storm when the wave starts crashing onto the shoreline. One thing that people are aware of whenever a large ocean storm hits is the amount of rain. So rain is going to cause flooding. They're also going to have high winds. The thing that people do not think about as much that are probably more destructive than anything are these large waves. What do they call these large waves when they come up and they knock houses off a foundation and destroy businesses? We talked about these for a day or two. What are these huge waves called? Excuse me. And here, right here, is a picture. I think I already asked you this question. What large Louisiana city was hit by a large ocean storm? And these are pictures from that large ocean storm. Here's something about the acid rain, how the acid rain is formed and what it will do. And also know that acid rain is a type of air pollution. All right, here's the effects of acid rain. Trying to get to the next section here. All right, we talked about how mountains and the geosphere affects the weather. Moms and dads, there's two terms that you should know, and also the kids. It's called windward and leeward. They're two sides of the mountain. All right. Now, here's a great question. Matter of fact, not a great question. Here is a essay question. One day we were having some fun and we were looking up Aspen, Colorado, or Yellowstone, Wyoming, and we were looking at these beautiful mansions. We saw one today in Aspen. It's worth $105 million. The monthly house payment, moms and dads, was $667,000 a month to own this house. The question that I asked the kids is, which side of the mountain would you want it on? So the test question is, if you were planning to build a mansion high in the mountains, which side of the mountain would you build it on? The windward side or the leeward side? And tell me why. So that is the test question. Here it is. If you were planning on to build your dream mountain mansion, which side of the mountain would you build it on? The windward side or the leeward side? Which side of the mountain would you build it on? The windward side or the leeward side? Next question. Liquid water can be found all over planet Earth. Name the 5 places that you can find liquid water. It's also in your notes a couple times. 5 places you can find liquid water. Right here is a great picture in my notes demonstrating the windward side versus the leeward side. And you can't ask for anything better than that. We also talked about the state of Oregon on the West Coast and how in 3 hours, if you drive across the state of Oregon, which my family and I have done several times, you can start at the Pacific Ocean, you can see a beach. Then if you drive east, you can start to see a temperate rainforest. And these trees, moms and dads, are massive. Then if you keep going, you're going to hit the Pacific Coast Range. If you go up high enough, you're going to hit mountain glaciers. Then once you're up high enough in the mountain glaciers, once you start to come down out of those mountains, you're going to be in a desert. And you can do that all within 3 hours. So the question is, how does mountain terrains affect the weather and the geosphere? Depending on where the weather comes from, it determines the vegetation that grows around the mountains and also with the elevation. Moms and dads, if you've never been, a great place to vacation is a town called Bend, Oregon. It's absolutely beautiful. I guarantee you will fall in love and you won't want to move back. That's how pretty it is out there. Bend, Oregon. We try to hit out there every couple years. All right. Next question. Dealing with elevation, dealing with mountain ranges, what is the driest, hottest place in North America? The driest, hottest place in North America. I'm not going to say world because there's a couple different questions about if it's the hottest places in the world. It's definitely the hottest place in North America, and it is not in Oregon, just as a hint. It is not in Oregon. Let me get that off the screen so no one thinks it's in Oregon. But there's a picture of the place that it is. This is Bend, Oregon, right here. This is from atop of a couple mountains around the city. Oh, there it is. Hottest, driest place in North America. Um, what is the driving engine behind the water cycle? What makes the water cycle go? We understand water is involved in the water cycle, but what makes the water cycle start? What makes the water cycle start? All right, moms and dads, there are going to probably be I would say between 50 and 60 questions on this test. Now, it sounds like that's a lot, but really it's not that much because each question might have 2 or 3 questions embedded in it. Excuse me. So it's not going to be that much. If your son or daughter studies, they will be fine. My notes are available online. They have the video right here. Please do not hesitate to call me. 412-655-3111, extension 3105. There is no excuse for them not to do very, very well on this test. It will be on Monday. 2 things are going to happen. Either they will start it in Mrs. Lauritsen's room and finish in my room, or they'll just do it Monday and Tuesday. They'll start it Monday in my room and Tuesday. I got to talk to the lovely Miss Ritson and figured all that out. She just walked in the room and she was surprised. She's on a TV screen right now. But listen, everybody study up. And then we're going to be doing. Oh, wait. See? The lovely Mr. Ritson, everybody. So study up. If you need me, please call me. All right. Study up. Go Eagles. Bye-bye. Hang on 1 second.